Thank you. I am deafened by the crowd. Thanks for being here. If you don't know, I'm Jackie Lovejoy. I'm so glad you joined us. This is our elegant and socially distant Chamber Choice Awards and Luncheon. We wanted to give our sponsors and our award winners, ideally, their moment in the sun. I was worried it would be 90 today, so I want to thank John and Sheila Rosinski for leaving the sun in Jamaica, as that usually you're supposed to bring the warm weather back with you. I'd like to give a big nod to my team, especially in these unusual times. They make the magic happen behind the scenes. Renee Rossler, Kelly Vandenbosch, and PJ Lemansky. And I'd also like to applaud the Henry Hotel and Chef Rob Underwood for helping us spin on a dime and giving everybody this wonderful afternoon. Big round of applause. Who would have anticipated this for 2020? We all could have been millionaires if we sold this script to Hollywood. Just in December, what were we thinking? Please help me welcome Brett Mikulski of Services to Enhance Potential.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming out today. I have to say, Jackie mentioned it earlier in the afternoon, that when we had this originally scheduled in March, I talked to Jackie right after some of the venue options went away, and probably for the first 2 weeks after we decided to change, her comments were always, when we get this back on the calendar, when are we going to do this, when were we going to recognize these outstanding chamber members. And so I'm really happy that we were able to get together in a different way, but obviously the best way that we can. So thank you again for everybody being out here today, and also for your persistence to get us out here today. So thank you. And I also I didn't want to spend too much time talking about how the COVID pandemic has impacted us all professionally and personally, because I think we hear it and feel it every single day. But I wanted to mention how much I appreciate Jackie and all the other folks at the chamber, how they were able to pivot, not only to talk about how we're doing this today, but also how we changed what we did as a chamber for the last 6 months. Instead of looking at social networking events or business networking events that had to be canceled and just realizing that we couldn't do anything, we changed our focus and became a resources for small businesses, and be able to find funding and find resources like PPE, those things that we would not have been able to find as easily without the chambers and a lot of the leadership at the chamber. So again, I just really appreciate it. I think we valued our chamber membership more during this pandemic than we did before. So again, just thank you, Jackie. And that's really all I wanted to say, so I'll pass it back over to Jackie, but thank you again for everybody's attendance today.
Well, I think that's all I want for Christmas. Thank you. That was wonderful. That really is lovely. And now I'd love to invite another one of my board members, Jeff Lynch of Fordland. He's their global real estate manager. If you want to come up and say a few words today, we'd love to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Once again, I'm Jeff Lynch, Global Real Estate Manager for Fordland, also Director of Sales and Leasing for Fordland. Depends on what hat I'm wearing. And on behalf of Fordland, I'd like to say it's an honor for us to be the event sponsor this year. It's nice to see a bunch of you in person rather than on Zoom. But hello to everybody on Instagram and Facebook. Looking forward to seeing all you in person as well. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce one of my colleagues who's not prepared for this. I've got Tim Fissinger, who is our Vice President of Real Estate and CFO for Fordland, joining me today. So this is one of his first chamber events, but just want to introduce Tim. I'd like to thank you to the Dearborn Area Chamber, our event sponsors, the Henry Hotel, and staff for making this long-standing tradition possible. This is really, really nice, so I'm enjoying it. We could use a little bit warmer weather, but it's really nice. I'd like to welcome and thank all the attendees as well as honorees for all their hard work and dedication to the Dearborn community. We've all had a tough year, but we continue to thrive and support each other. I think we're all doing a really good job, and as Brent said, through the chamber support, we're moving ahead here good. Exciting things continue to happen in and around Dearborn with Ford and Fordland and some of our projects that are changing the landscape. Ford Motor Company has some upcoming launches this year of the Bronco and Mustang Mach-E, which are really exciting. We've got several Fordland construction projects underway in Dearborn, the most notable being the transformation of a research and engineering campus, which where these great vehicles will be engineered and created. Ford's also working hard at connecting our communities. There's a plan for a mobility corridor connecting Detroit to Dearborn to Ann Arbor through Michigan Avenue, so that's a nice connection there. That was recently announced. Taking it back to Dearborn, our Wagner Place development located at Michigan Avenue in Monroe, we've got 10 businesses that are open. We've got another one scheduled to open really soon, the Great Commoner, but there's a number of retail, restaurants, and fitness businesses there, so please feel free to visit them. And on the commercial development side, I'd be remiss if I didn't use this opportunity to reach out to those of you seeking a place for your business to thrive. We've got a number of properties around here: Fairlane Plaza, Fairlane Office Center, 500 Town Center, 2 doors down, that have plenty of available space from 150 square feet, so a business-ready small suite, up to 69,000 square feet, which would be at 500 Town Center. So as we hear Jackie present the Chamber Choice Awards to the honorees, there's a lot of great things happening in and around the Dearborn community, and it's a place that we're all proud to call home. Again, congratulations to today's honorees and all the businesses celebrating milestone anniversaries. And lastly, I'd like to say thank you very much to all of our essential workers and healthcare heroes.
And if you didn't know, 500 Town Center, Fordland has generously donated that space for blood drives. So if you're looking for information, you can of course go to the Red Cross website and type in our zip code, and you can see the next time they will pop up there. And then we do populate that on our Chamber Facebook page as well. Okay, so we're going to get started with the interview portion of the game show. No, with our program today. And if you could all help me welcome to our couch, to our podium. This will not be a Barbara Walters interview. There won't be any crying, I promise. Please help me welcome Lisa Courtey, our Business Leader of the Year of Courtey's Collision, to the couch. And we're socially distant.
Okay, I have to sit on this side.
That you don't have. I'll sit on this side. So what an exciting process. And for those of you who don't know, we take nominations every fall for Chamber Choice the following year. And we usually have this event in March. And people nominate each other, anniversary businesses, people of recognition in the community who do things, and a lot of unsung heroes who do a lot of great work in the community. And then we get all the nominations together, and we have chamber members, board members, ambassadors get together, and we review these nominations, and it has to be a unanimous vote. So huge kudos to you, because you are Business Leader of the Year, finally recognized in September. Thank you for being here.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful event. I am honored.
Well,
there are so many amazing people in the Chamber, and in the years, I've met so many wonderful people. It's humbling to think that I would be sitting up here among so many wonderful people.
No, we promise, no crying. So tell us, you have the unique pleasure of running Courtey's Collision with your husband, Matt, and my husband and I worked together for a period of time before we got married, but it was before we were married. How do you balance work and home? What do you do for fun outside of the office?
Balancing work and home, for one, I guess working with my husband, the love of my life. Easiest thing to do. We truly had to work out respect for each other. I handle one end of the business and he handles another end of the business. And we just had to work out that dynamic of, this is my part of the business, respect it, and that's yours. Sometimes we would get people ask me, how much is a tail light? And I'm like, I would like to guess and tell them that. Unfortunately, it makes Matt's job really hard when I answer something I don't know. And then we've just learned that through the years. That's Lisa's job or that's Matt's job, and we respect it.
So what do you do for fun outside of the office? He doesn't coach you on pricing outside of the office.
No. When we first met, honestly, we took a vacation and he quizzed me all the way to North Carolina on what type of cars we passed. Do you know what year car that is? Do you know what type of car that is? Yeah, so he was training me. I didn't know it. But even when we first met, he was training me. So.
Okay, so he knew where his bread was buttered. He was bringing you into the business.
He
Yes.
knew, yeah. I didn't know, so he
Okay.
had a plan.
Well, I know you come from a large family. Let's talk about all your community involvement. Your video is on our website, and we posted that again on Facebook again this morning. So if you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful portrait. But let's talk. You come from a large family. Where'd you get your passion for public service? Besides, it's way beyond 9 to 5 running a business. It's a good part of your life. So talk a little bit about your passion.
So I do come from a big family. I'm the 14th child out of 15 kids. So my older brothers and sisters are quite a bit older than me, 15, 20 years older. I had an older sister. She had since passed, my sister Sue. But she had a passion for getting the family together. So when I was very young, she got us all together at the park. She got us together for birthdays. Back then, she had surprise birthday parties for when the older kids turned 30, because that was over the hill back then. You know, nowadays, I don't even think our kids are moving out of the house at 30, but, you know, back then, that was over the hill. And I just picked up on that. I loved it. I loved that she got those events together. I loved getting together with the family. It was a very easy transition for me to be in business and get community events together and be a part of it. I love being a part of events like that.
Well, and you're one of our founders, too, of originally Family Fun Day, which we evolved into Family Fitness Day.
Yes.
And so hopefully that'll come back in 2021 as well.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a nice event. Even last year's was a wonderful event.
It was, for a kickoff event, we had a great day.
Yes.
And we had a blistering hot day. Hard to believe today.
Yeah.
So finally, in closing, can you tell us what's one great piece of advice that you got, one nugget that's carried you through not only the recession, but through what we're going through right now?
You know, I don't know that there's one piece other than stay positive and keep busy. I think sometimes we want to shut down. It gets so stressful. It's difficult to keep moving. We belong to a business network group besides the chamber that keeps us going. DAB group meets Thursday
Well,
mornings.
they're part of us too. They're members too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Matt.
It gets us, even though sometimes you don't feel like it, sometimes, you know, you're so stressed about what's going on, you maybe don't want to get on that Zoom meeting or you don't want to meet with people. You just got to push yourself really to do it. You feel better doing it. You meet with other people that are going through the same situation, and it ends up being a positive
That's wonderful.
for your day.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everyone be sure to check out the videos. So normally we have a podium and a big stage, but I'm not going to go back and forth because it's right there. Everyone can see me, right? So at this point, please help me welcome our Business of the Year, Mr. Steve Henry, Leader Printing and Mailing. Please come to the red carpet with me. Yes, give a shout out there.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be here, and I'm seriously honored and humbled. It's good to see so many familiar faces as well.
Well, the 30 of us get together on a regular basis. Thank you all.
It feels that way. I mean, I think I met most of these people, or have known most of these people for a good many years, and had the pleasure of meeting Jeff Lynch at the last golf outing, where we sat under a tree in the pouring rain for quite a while. But to find out a lot about Jeff there.
That was the first year in 7 years we had a torrential downpour. Yes. Well, and let's talk about that. Steve is Business of the Year, but I'll have to tell you, he is also, you may not know this, Johnny on the spot. So Wayne County called on all their chamber partners to help put together PPE kits. And yesterday was our day to go to the warehouse to pick up all of our supplies. And they're not put together yet. We will have them for our businesses next week. I'll announce that. But who do you call? We called Steve Henry. He said, let's go. And we got there and we're like, oh gosh, this is going to take more than one trip. And he is the man who answers the call, who comes to the table, who moves almost any, not even just moving things, has great ideas. When COVID began, he was the first person to think of, we need tear-off menus as placemats that people can throw away, always thinking around corners. And this is your second go-around on the board of directors. So,
At least. I was with the Dearborn Heights Chamber of Commerce for a few go-arounds as well, but it's a pleasure.
why, thank you, thank you. So with all that being said, how did you pick printing as a career all those years ago?
Well, I'm actually a third generation in the trade. My grandfather and my father were both in printing. And so I worked, I took, back when I went to school, printing was one of the classes that was pretty much offered at every high school. So I took it, and I worked for my dad on co-op. And after I graduated, I did a little bit of college and decided to not go that route, so I enlisted in the Navy. It didn't even dawn on me that we're a war with the Vietnam War. My mother about had a meltdown. But I ended up in boot camp. I went in as an aviation electrician, and about 2/3 of the way through camp, they sat down and said, you know, you have some printing background, would you want to be a printer? And I'd already realized that they weren't asking me so much as telling me that that's what you were going to do. So I said, sure.
Welcome to the Navy.
Yeah, welcome to the Navy. Sure, go. I'll be a printer. So I ended up on an aircraft carrier, and I was responsible for it was a huge printing facility. A lot of people are surprised to find that out, but they really do a lot of communications. When the weather gets rough, it gets really tough to print anything, rolling back and forth. But it was a great experience, so I decided to stay with it.
And your dad was thrilled because you're a printer in the Navy, came home, took over the family business?
No, well, not really. In fact, when I came back out of the service, my job wasn't there anymore, so I just decided to open up my own company.
Talk about some love there.
Well, I mean...
No, that happens. Trust me, I know.
Sure.
You've been part of Rotary since 1981. And just like Lisa, can you talk about what drives you back to the community? You're a legendary football coach in the area. Tell us a little bit about that. How rewarding are all of those things?
Well, again, my father, as soon as I opened my business, he said, so you need to join Rotary. He was a Dearborn Rotarian for many years. He's also a past president of the Chamber. So it was part of his teaching me to give back to the community. And really, all of my friends outside of my immediate family have their roots in either Rotary or the Chamber or in coaching football, which is just, to me, there's not much work to it. It's more enjoyment than anything else, and I don't know why I would not want to. So I think they go hand in hand.
Okay. Well, thanks. That's great. How do you like solopreneurship? Because I know largely your daughter Carrie's with you here today. I know you have Mo in the shop who's real handy, but a lot of days you're there on your own. How do you find solopreneurship? What's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest thrill?
Well, my biggest challenge is just keeping up with some of the technology. The business is changing constantly. So it's a matter of me continuing to not be hard-headed and enjoy the learning process as I go. So that would probably be the biggest challenge, just keeping up with that. I enjoy it, and I'll keep doing it as long as I'm able to. I'm really fortunate to have a lot of good people that kind of work with me and say, yeah, we get it. You're not picking this up, so we're gonna do it for you, okay? So it's not just any one man doing everything.
But you do a lot. Really, give the man a round of applause. He does, yes, a lot of everything.
And we were really extremely busy 2 weeks ago, and I think that everybody said, Dad, why don't you do a lot out the door, okay, and let us go for about 2 hours. So I did.
And I'll wrap up with this. What's your best piece of advice for somebody who wants to go into business like you do, your own shop? And I have to tell you, you really have changed with the times. Printing used to occupy a huge warehouse, and you've downsized and streamlined just beautifully. We wouldn't believe the quality that comes out of your new facility. What advice do you have?
Nor can I. I mean, the industry has changed so dramatically that I think when I started, we were in photo typesetting, and then it went to digital, and now it's pretty much all just computer-based, and the equipment where I would need, say, 3,000 square feet has been reduced to needing 1,000 square feet and we get to do so much more with so much less. But I would say that the most important thing is that you want to surround yourself with a great team, because all of this technology comes and goes, and it isn't worth the materials it's made out of if you don't have people that don't know how to use it, and you need to encourage them to use it, get better, okay, move along. I think it's critical that people that you work with feel like they're getting better every day and they're enjoying what they're doing, they're learning something. And I have been fortunate because my sisters worked for me in high school through co-op. My daughters worked for me all the way through high school. My brother worked with me. And of course, my wife Pam before she passed away. And really, it's because of her that I'm here today.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I know we all miss her very much. Everyone, Steve Henry of Leader Printing. If everyone can help me bring up my next award winner, she is a Small Business of the Year award winner. She is a staple in the land of chamber. Please help me welcome Jeannie Frazier of Assurant Care. Not that everyone doesn't deserve arms up. Please be comfortable. Well, welcome to the couch.
Thank you.
If you were a treat, no, I'm not going to ask that question. Earlier today, we were joking and we were saying this won't be a Barbara Walters interview. And one of our wonderful sponsors said, I'm sorry, who's Barbara Walters? So we will keep this a little more brief.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So tell us about Assurant Care. You started the business. What was your passion in getting into this?
I had some friends that couldn't go to their cottage because their senior uncle needed care on the weekends. And so I stepped up and said, I can handle that for you. And it was the best thing I ever did because it turned into a business for me.
And how long ago was that?
11 years ago.
Well, what success in 11 years, because we've done a couple ribbon cuttings for Jeannie. And you do have a wonderful staff as well.
You couldn't have a company like this without great caregivers. They are the basis for everything, and I really appreciate all the hard work they do in the homes.
That's true. So we all know where we're at right now with COVID. Can you talk about what's changed in the industry the most over the last few years, besides our current situation and masks?
The adult children of seniors are skipping the inheritance they were looking forward to before. They would rather have their parents spend their money on staying at home and having good quality care. So that's the biggest change that we've seen.
There's an inheritance. Nobody told me that. I have to check back with the family. Oh my gosh. That's wonderful. And can you talk about how we see what our population is like. Talk about how your business has boomed over the last few years.
Ford Motor retirees are wonderful people, and Dearborn is full of them. We have a huge population of seniors here that want to stay in their homes. They have lovely homes. They've built a great life here in fabulous Dearborn, and we're seeing to their needs.
What's the most critical and then the most rewarding part of what you, and I know some of the rewarding things because you've been my ace in the hole many times. You've had lots of good advice for me. What's the most critical thing that you work on every day, and what's the most rewarding?
Trust. Building trust with a client to have a stranger in their home is the most critical part of the business, and the most rewarding is to see to a client's needs all the way through to the last breath, and that's what we do.
Jeannie, I don't know if I can ask you another question. What do you do for fun in your spare time? That's a beautiful statement to end with. Holy cow.
Play with my 3 grandchildren.
And don't you have twins, too?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We are thrilled that you're a part of our group. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we try. Well, next up, I think everybody might know this, and I don't know if the pair is going to come to the couch or just our brewmaster. 7 years ago, I was at one of my first after hours, and and we were in a salon, and this young couple came in, and they did a beer tasting. So if you can help me welcome, because they've been in business just 5 years, John Brzezinski and Sheila, are you going to join us? Okay. John, if you would like to come, our startup of the year, Dearborn Brewing, come on up. Join me on the couch. I'll sit in the chair.
So it's a couch. Do I have to hop up and down like Tom Cruise at some point?
Only if you're super excited. You and Sheila just got back from Jamaica, maybe. So welcome. I can't tell you what an exciting story, and it really is the thing that everyone dreams about, is turning their passion into a business. So here we are in a salon. People are, and I am gluten-free, and you have since come out with things that I can enjoy. Talk about how you went from brewing for friends and doing it at home, and boom, you're on Michigan Avenue in Ford's Garage, other wonderful establishments serving your beer. Talk about that process. It's a remarkable 60-month journey.
I'm still trying to figure it out because I always swore I wouldn't turn my hobby into a job. It just sort of evolved. I didn't set out to do it, and I can't even remember where we were one night, but it just finally kind of, I don't think fed up's the right word, but something just kind of happened where we had something, and Sheila looked at me and said, well, if they can get this much for this, then you can, you could sell yours. And I kind of looked at her and said, are you serious? And so I went and I played around with the idea for a while, and then one night we were out, and I said, so I think I want to try it. And then she looked at me and went, are you serious?
You take turns saying that, yeah. Oh, you were serious. Oh, you took me seriously. So I know you started off doing batches.
Yep.
You started selling kegs. You provided our golf outing many times with our own signature Dearborn Brewing keg.
Yep.
Talk about how you got legs under it and how you found your location. And a lot of people can't believe this can happen, and people think, 5 years. It's 60 months, and that's such a curve to surmount, to get to. That's a huge achievement.
Well, I was lucky enough in that I looked around a bit, but our location actually found us. There was I believe it was a chamber event where they had the mayor speaking, and it was at the old Silky's Lounge. And towards the end, I piped up and asked a question about possibly opening a microbrewery. And our now landlord, the Nichols family, Karen, actually chased me down because she was in attendance and, said, we have a spot open for lease. Why don't you come look at it? And that's where we landed.
And I think that speaks to the neighborhood feel we have here in our corner of Southeast Michigan. People will do, and everyone knows I'm not shy. I mean, I have this horrible shyness problem. But that's what, hey, I've got this great idea. I just met you at this event. Or maybe I had some of your beer in your backyard. I don't know. But she chased you down with a great idea.
Yeah.
What a great spot, too, because they're gone during the summer months. It's a ski shop.
Well, the funniest thing about when we did go look at the spot, though, was we walked in and it had the old screw-in fuse box. And I made a joke that at least there were no pennies, shoved in there. And I laughed and she laughed, and our real estate agent, who was a fair bit younger than both of us, just kind of looked at us and, I don't get it.
Again, another Barbara Walters reference. Because there were pennies in our fuse box when we were kids, too. So my husband and I were in the car. We're driving along, and of all things, listening to 97.1 The Ticket, which I don't normally listen to. And there's this huge debate going on. Are craft beer people incensed that the seltzer market has diversified the industry? And I know you've gone down that road, which is, you have a neck and neck tie at Dearborn Brewing. Which is more popular right now?
For us, at least, the beer is more popular, but the seltzer's become a huge part of the product lineup. And as an owner, what did my dad used to say? I love both my children equally.
Very good.
Some days more than others, but but I think craft beer drinkers have become very fragmented over it. But the industry changes. We have session IPAs now, which back when I started making beer, we just called pale ales. So things change, they evolve, and you just go with it.
Yeah, and why not have an extra revenue stream?
Yeah.
I mean, why not try it? That's kind of our thought too. Any parting thoughts? I know going into something like this, sometimes it seems like it's forever. Can you talk a little bit about what's a great piece of advice that you got and how quickly the last 5 years have gone?
The last 5 years have gone so incredibly quickly. I mean, well, for the most part. I mean, sometimes it feels like 5 minutes, other times it feels like it's been 5 decades, especially when you're filling out federal tax paperwork, but...
True.
Probably the best advice I've gotten starting up and all of that actually came from Chris. And I was...
And John references Chris Nordine of the Glass Academy, in case you missed the hand gesture.
I think I was really pretty bad about this at first, and he really kind of taught me. It's like you really need to be receptive to the praise and things that your customers will give you, because really any of us in retail, we're all just performers on a stage in some sense of the word. And if you see an actor up on a stage and he gets a big round of applause and all he does is just kind of, no, don't do that, eventually people are going to stop clapping for that person. So you really need to be receptive to that and really learn to appreciate it. I mean, you always appreciate it, but you need to learn to be able to express your appreciation for it, I guess is the best way to put it.
And you are so deserving. I want you to stand up and take a big bow. Everyone, give John and Sheila a big round of applause. And being John brought up the mayors, I should acknowledge both Dan Paletko and Jack O'Reilly were invited today. Jack is attending his son's wedding in California, and Dan was previously committed, and that actually gave us exactly 32 seats, so we met our outdoor seating goal. So while we miss them, we thank them for their busy schedules. And at this point, I know everyone's excited. Our last award is our most recent award. We started this with John Dingle. We call it the Impact Award, and this is somebody who's made an impact on the local community, and usually they don't realize how big that impact has been. So if you could please help me welcome Ms. Sarah Gleicher of Beaumont Health and Healthy Dearborn. Come on up. And we'll center the last award.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure. So, if you don't know Sarah, what I can share is Sarah will tell you none of this is her doing. She shares the credit. So, Sarah, tell us the concept behind Healthy Dearborn. How did it get started? Because you also have Healthy Taylor and Healthy Wayne. Talk a little bit about that concept and what your role is in it.
Okay, was. So
Well,
I'm retired now.
because she's a gay retiree now.
Yes.
Very happy.
So Healthy Communities was really the brainchild of Betty Priscorn, who was my boss, who used to work at Beaumont Health. It's kind of a long story. I'll try to make it short.
That's okay.
So nonprofit hospitals are required to do a community health needs assessment every 3 years. Once they do the community health needs assessment to identify the most pressing health priorities in the service areas, they have to then develop a plan to attack those health priority needs. When Beaumont, Oakwood, and then all 3 counties did it eventually, when they did it, they identified chronic diseases as the most pressing concern, which is not surprising because they're the most prevalent. So heart disease, obesity, and diabetes. So Betty Priscorn did a lot of research and determined that the best way to deal with chronic diseases is through healthy communities, which is basically you promote physical activity and healthy nutrition. And that's really how the idea was formed.
And that leads me to my next question, because so many people hear Healthy Dearborn, and what do they think of the healthy walk and rolls that happen every Wednesday? And they've even happened some this summer in socially distanced, virtually. And things like that. So talk about, what are the other arms of Healthy Dearborn besides the walk and rolls and the bike program?
Yeah. The Healthy Dearborn is a partnership. So Betty had this, she was really brilliant to do this. She established a partnership right away with Mayor O'Reilly, the school superintendent, Glenn Maleko, and Beaumont Health, and then we organized a coalition. So it's this Healthy Dearborn Coalition, which is why they get the credit for what was done, because we truly did this together. And right away, we decided that we're not about changing individual behaviors. It's not about convincing you that you need to eat healthy, but it's really about creating the conditions in the community and infrastructure and changing environments so that everybody can access those opportunities to be healthy. So, I'm really proud of the things we accomplished. So bike share, that was the big one. So the Kashas were so impressed with the work that the coalition was doing that they dedicated money. We got bike share going. We did a new neighborhood park on the east side of Dearborn, Graham Park. It was the first park ever designed by the residents themselves in the neighborhood, first new park in years. We did a school project. It's still going on, so we established school gardens, I think in 14 schools now, with new physical education equipment, new curriculum, the walk and roll. We've done a lot.
So we've had Zumba at Fairlane, we've had business rankings for our restaurants. How organic are you? How healthy are you? What are your options? And I think Sarah might underplay her role a little bit, because we talk about this great coalition of people that are brought together, but there's 80 volunteers that meet monthly to make this machine run forward. And I'd like to talk a little bit, because I know you don't like to talk about yourself, talk about public service. You used to work for Mary Ann Mahaffey, the Detroit City Councilwoman.
Right.
Talk about your parents' influence just a little bit, because you have passion for this. You brought all of us together to the table, and everybody owned their part between the business community, the schools. Tell us a little bit about those experiences. What are your favorite gems there?
Well, definitely my parents, my father in particular, was always active, politically active. So I think we learned just early on, when you have that kind of influence in your life, about the importance of helping others. And then I have a social work degree, so I guess I was kind of oriented toward that. And then working for Mary Ann Mahaffey, who was just, for those of you who remember her, she was just a fireball of activism and commitment. The passion that she had for serving people. So I just was fortunate to have some great influences. This may sound a little strange, but I think also being hard of hearing and having a hearing loss, so I've been hard of hearing since I was a baby. I know it may sound strange, but having a disability gives you more appreciation and empathy for the underdog, and you appreciate the need for resources to overcome obstacles, but you also really appreciate the need for everyone to be able to access those resources so that they can succeed as well.
And you thought you weren't going to be good at an interview. Everybody, I give you our Impact Award winner of the year, Sarah Gleischer of Beaumont.
Thank you so much.
Recently retired. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, as you can tell, some days the magic happens and I do need my readers. So everyone, a big round of applause for all of our award winners. Thank you very, very much. Our last little bit of business, we'd like to acknowledge our milestone anniversary businesses that are with us today. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sponsoring. So when you hear your name, if you can come up, we're giving these folks wonderful awards for as long as they've been in business. And coincidentally, first one up, 5 years in business, is Dearborn Brewing. Oh, great, it's Sheila's turn. There you go. We have to be socially distant. Well, you want us both to move this way? Congratulations. Next year is 20 years Henry Ford Optimized Supervision Center. Come on up. And I have to tell you, this young man does know who Barbara Walters is. He simply gave me the fodder for a good joke. There you go. Good to see you. Oh, and who else is here today? Priority Health, Mr. Rick Maroney, 35 years in business. Come on up. If you don't know, Rick is a past board chair. It's an anniversary. Take it back to the office. Thank you. Yay, you can give him a round of applause. Next on our list, another big surprise, Ford Land for 50 years. Tim, come on up. You look great for 50.
I don't know if I like that or not.
Thank you. No, my pleasure. And finally, DFCU Financial for Commerce Drive, Oakwood and Southfield, Oakwood and Beach, Fairlane, 70 years. You may recognize this young lady as Peggy Richard. We have one for every location, Peg. Yeah, sure. You're a chamber girl, you know. This concludes our program. You're more than welcome to mingle in a socially distant fashion. If you do use the hotel, wear a mask as you go in. I'd like to thank you all. You've made this year, it has been a challenging, I think everyone can agree, a challenging year. But this group buoys me and carries me forward, and I hope we do the same for you. Have a wonderful afternoon.